And I remember being taken in the fancy dress class by my mother. And I must have been quite young. I don't know what I was dressed up as, but anyway, I was sort of pulled in for the prizes. And Vera Lynn, who lived in Ditchling, lovely lady, was giving the prizes. And she came round to us and sprat.
She was never meant to lead, at least not like this. No royal blood, no official announcement. As Queen Camilla fades from the spotlight and King Charles's role begins to shrink, Kate is stepping into power without saying a word. What's really happening behind palace walls? Why is the monarchy changing so fast and so quietly?
I mean, she took it extremely well, sort of wrapped herself up and went back again. But, everybody was crying the last one. So that was not one of my finest gymkhana moments.
The British royal family has always been shaped by tradition. But in recent months, change has quietly started to settle in. Visible not through official statements or public ceremonies, but through small shifts in who's showing up, who's stepping back, and who's slowly moving to the center. There's no grand announcement, no press release, but for those paying close attention, something is happening. At the center of this shift is a subtle transition in leadership. While King Charles III remains on the throne, his public schedule has reduced noticeably since the beginning of 2024. There have been growing concerns around his health, which the palace has acknowledged only in the vaguest of terms. The details remain private, but his lighter workload suggests that his inner circle is preparing for long-term adjustments. This isn't unprecedented. Monarchies around the world often adjust the pace and visibility of aging rulers. But what's catching public attention now is not just Charles's quiet step back. It's who seems to be stepping forward. More and more, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are becoming the central public figures of the royal family. They're not just attending events on behalf of the king. They are leading them. From high-level diplomatic meetings to royal tours and national celebrations, the couple has taken on a noticeably larger share of the royal workload. Insiders say this is no coincidence. It's part of a careful internal strategy aimed at maintaining the monarchy's relevance. One that gradually transfers responsibilities to the next generation, while allowing the current monarch to preserve stability from the background. The public face of this strategy is Catherine. She has, over the years, established a reputation for being steady, measured, and dependable. But in the last 18 months, her role has expanded in a way that goes beyond ribbon cuttings and charity visits. She's become a key part of decision-making inside the palace, increasingly trusted with leadership tasks that once belonged to more senior royals. This change comes at a time when Queen Camilla, who has been a visible presence since Charles became king, is reportedly stepping back from some of her public-facing duties. The palace hasn't issued a formal statement about her reduced schedule, but reports from multiple outlets suggest she requested fewer engagements. Some observers believe this may be due to fatigue. Others speculate it was a strategic move linked to public sentiment. Whatever the reason, Camilla's quieter presence has only added to the growing visibility of Catherine. While Camilla still plays a supportive role, it is now Catherine who's taking the lead in hosting key events, speaking on behalf of the royal family, and representing Britain on the international stage. And she's doing it without ceremony or show. Unlike past eras of royal transition, this moment feels understated. There are no coronations or new titles, just a shift in energy and focus. Royal correspondents and historians have started referring to this as a soft regency. The term doesn't imply that the king is stepping down, but it reflects the growing idea that younger royals are sharing the duties of leadership, in practice if not in title. According to individuals close to the palace, William and Catherine are being given more control over the planning and direction of royal engagements. They're said to be leading weekly strategy sessions with senior aides, helping shape how the monarchy responds to public issues and what causes are prioritized. This evolution hasn't happened overnight. It's the result of years of steady preparation. Catherine, in particular, has been quietly building her knowledge of royal protocols, public service, and national priorities since the early days of her marriage. Now that experience is being put to use in a far more influential way. As this shift unfolds, the response from the public has been mostly positive. Recent polling suggests that confidence in the royal family remains strongest around William and Catherine. People view them as relatable but respectful, modern but not flashy. In a time when many institutions are losing public trust, that sense of stability matters. Still, transitions like this aren't always easy to manage from within. Even inside the royal household, change comes with its own challenges. Longtime staffers must adjust to new decision-makers. Established processes are slowly updated. And there's always the question of how other royal family members fit into the emerging picture. For Queen Camilla, this moment may be bittersweet. She has worked for years to earn a level of public acceptance after a controversial entry into the royal spotlight. And while she's never tried to overshadow other royals, she's been a reliable and hard-working figure. Her decision to take a step back, whether voluntary or guided, marks the end of an era that was defined by quiet persistence. It also raises a difficult truth about royal life, that timing and perception are just as important as tradition. Even with decades of service, Camilla has struggled to fully win over parts of the public. Some of that has to do with history, some of it is emotional, and some of it simply reflects the fact that royal roles today are judged through a very different lens. Catherine, by contrast, has emerged at a time when the monarchy needs a softer, more relatable image. She hasn't had to rewrite the rulebook, but she's helped shift the tone. She doesn't chase attention, but she doesn't shy away from responsibility either. Her rise is not based on media stunts or dramatic changes. It's built on trust, consistency, and the ability to listen. The fact that this transition is happening without headlines speaks volumes about how carefully it's being managed. There's no official transfer of power, no new titles, no declarations. But the signs are there, in the way engagements are assigned, in the tone of official statements, in the growing list of responsibilities handed to Catherine. All of this comes at a time when the monarchy faces real questions about its future. Public support is still strong, but not unquestioning. Younger generations are more skeptical. The institution has weathered scandal, criticism, and cultural change. To survive, it must adapt, not just in structure, but in style. That's what makes this current moment so important. The shift from Charles and Camilla to William and Catherine is not just about age. It's about aligning the monarchy with a new set of expectations. People want leaders who are compassionate, intelligent, and connected to everyday issues. They want transparency and purpose, not just ceremony. Catherine's growing role seems to reflect that. Whether it's her work in early childhood development, her focus on mental health, or her calm leadership at major state events, she represents a version of royalty that's less about being seen and more about being useful. For more than a decade, Catherine's role was often described in terms of support. She stood beside Prince William during royal events, lent her name to charities, and made carefully chosen public appearances. In the early years of her marriage, she was described as measured and media-shy, with some critics wondering whether she was taking a back seat on purpose. But in hindsight, it's become clear that her approach was never passive. It was strategic. Behind the scenes, Catherine has been quietly learning how the royal institution works, its rhythms, its structure, and the responsibilities that come with influence. She spent her early royal years developing relationships with staff, senior advisors, and the broader network of charities and foundations connected to the family. She took the time to understand what effective royal work looks like, what has impact, what sustains attention, and what builds trust. That groundwork is now paying off. In the past 2 years, Catherine has emerged not just as a senior royal, but as a central figure in how the modern monarchy operates. She is no longer viewed as someone who stands beside the future king. She is increasingly recognized as a leader in her own right, someone whose role is more about influence than image. According to sources close to the palace, Catherine now participates in regular strategy meetings alongside Prince William and key royal advisors. These sessions shape everything from national-level engagements to diplomatic priorities. She's reportedly involved in decisions that go beyond her own charitable work, offering input on broader matters affecting the monarchy's future direction. Her influence can also be seen in how she handles public appearances. Over time, she has gone from joining planned engagements to leading them. Whether hosting events at Kensington Palace, delivering keynote addresses, or representing the royal family abroad, Catherine now takes a front-facing role more often than ever before. In recent state visits and public briefings, officials and press have observed a shift in tone. Catherine is not only present, she is prepared, articulate, and visibly confident. She's begun to carry herself like someone who understands the weight of her platform and uses it intentionally. That shift is not the result of media training or overnight confidence. It's the product of years of careful preparation. A key moment in this transition was the launch of the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood. While Catherine had been working on childhood development for several years, the creation of a dedicated center marked her first major step toward shaping long-term policy and social change. The initiative isn't just about raising awareness. It's about influencing how governments, schools, and healthcare systems think about the earliest years of life. Behind that launch was a detailed research project, stakeholder consultation, and input from professionals across the fields of psychology, education, and family welfare. Catherine was deeply involved in the process. Those who worked with her on the project said she wasn't just a figurehead. She asked informed questions, requested data, and showed a strong grasp of the science behind early development. That level of engagement has become a pattern. Whether she's hosting expert roundtables or visiting frontline organizations, Catherine's presence is no longer just symbolic. She contributes meaningfully, listens actively, and pushes for long-term progress in the areas she supports. This style of leadership has also influenced how other members of the royal family operate. Insiders have noted that Catherine and William, working as a team, have encouraged a more streamlined and focused approach to royal duties. They prioritize fewer engagements with deeper involvement, rather than spreading themselves thin across a wide range of causes. It's a shift that reflects a more modern understanding of impact and credibility. Catherine's influence has also reached international diplomacy. In recent years, she's played a key role in welcoming foreign dignitaries and representing Britain at overseas events. Her composure, cultural awareness, and professionalism have drawn praise from political figures and international observers. She's not simply attending these events as a spouse. She's participating in the broader diplomatic mission of the Crown. That growing presence has not gone unnoticed by the public. Polling data from both the UK and Commonwealth countries shows that support for Catherine has steadily increased, especially among younger people. Her reputation as a grounded and thoughtful royal has helped her bridge the gap between tradition and modern expectations. One of the most important aspects of Catherine's evolution is that she hasn't changed her personality to fit the role. She's shaped the role around who she is. She's avoided flashiness, stayed consistent in her messaging, and continued to place real work over photo opportunities. This authenticity is part of why her popularity has remained high, while public trust in institutions, including the monarchy, has fluctuated. Her leadership style is noticeably collaborative. She frequently works alongside professionals, other royals, and partner organizations in ways that highlight shared effort rather than personal branding. This team-focused mindset contrasts with some of the more individualized approaches seen in previous generations of royals. Even within the palace, staff have spoken about how Catherine leads with clarity and respect. She's known to come well-prepared to meetings, with a calm demeanor and an interest in listening before speaking. This has created an environment where her input is not only welcomed, it's expected. It's this blend of humility and professionalism that's allowed her to expand her role without resistance. Other senior royals, including King Charles and Queen Camilla, appear to support this transition. While the monarchy has had moments of tension and internal complexity, the handover of responsibility to Catherine seems to be happening with quiet consensus. As royal duties shift more heavily to Catherine and William, the long-term direction of the monarchy is becoming clearer. It's a future shaped not just by tradition, but by strategy. A monarchy that still values ceremony but also understands the importance of being relevant, approachable, and purposeful. Catherine's steady rise is a key part of that story. She represents a form of leadership that doesn't need to be loud or dominant to be effective. Her influence comes from preparation, long-term thinking, and a deep understanding of what it means to serve in the public eye. This strategic approach may well be what defines the next chapter of the monarchy. As the royal family continues to adapt to social change, shifting generational values, and global scrutiny, Catherine is showing that leadership can evolve too, quietly, carefully, and with lasting impact. For more than 2 decades, the title of Princess of Wales had remained unused. Although Camilla was legally entitled to it when she married Prince Charles in 2005, she chose not to use it. Instead, she became known publicly as the Duchess of Cornwall. This wasn't a legal necessity, but a decision rooted in sensitivity. The memory of Diana was still powerful, and public sentiment at the time made it clear that passing the title too quickly, or to the wrong person, could stir controversy. Camilla's choice was widely seen as a respectful one. By stepping away from the title, she acknowledged the depth of feeling that people still held for Diana. It also allowed her to gradually build her own public identity without directly inviting comparisons. Over time, Camilla gained a level of acceptance, particularly for her commitment to causes such as literacy, animal welfare, and domestic violence awareness. But she never used the Princess of Wales title, and it never appeared on royal event programs or public documents. In some ways, the name became frozen in time, untouched, because it was still so closely associated with the past. Then, in 2022, when Charles became king, the title of Prince of Wales was passed to his eldest son, William. And with that, Catherine became the new Princess of Wales. The reaction was mixed, but mostly supportive. By then, Catherine had been in the public eye for more than a decade. She had built her own relationship with the public and earned a reputation for thoughtfulness, dedication, and humility. The timing felt right. She wasn't replacing Diana. She was honoring her legacy, while continuing something new. The emotional weight of the title cannot be overstated. Diana had redefined what it meant to be a royal. She was known for her emotional openness, her willingness to break royal protocol in order to connect with people, and her tireless work on issues like AIDS awareness, homelessness, and landmine removal. Her impact went far beyond the UK. She was a global figure, admired not just for her status, but for her humanity. For years, no one dared take on that title again. And when Catherine did, it wasn't with fanfare or grand speeches. It was with the same quiet confidence that has come to define her public image. She didn't try to fill Diana's shoes. She didn't imitate her style. Instead, she focused on doing the work in her own way, respectful of the past, but never trying to recreate it. Still, the comparisons have never fully disappeared. From the moment she entered royal life, Catherine was often measured against Diana. The media has occasionally leaned into this narrative, especially during moments that mirrored Diana's public appearances. Whether visiting children's hospitals, engaging in overseas tours, or speaking about mental health. But Catherine has managed the comparisons carefully. She doesn't shy away from Diana's memory, but she doesn't rely on it either. Her work in early childhood development, for instance, is entirely her own. It's based on years of research, collaboration with experts, and a clear commitment to changing how society thinks about the early years of life. That long-term focus is different from Diana's high-impact humanitarian efforts, but equally meaningful in its own way. Catherine's version of royal service is less dramatic but deeply strategic. She avoids unnecessary media attention and focuses on building sustainable initiatives. She has never tried to be a replacement for Diana, and that may be exactly why the public has embraced her. She represents continuity, not competition. The revival of the Princess of Wales title under Catherine has also changed how the public talks about the role. For years, it was a title people didn't want to see reused because it felt too closely tied to personal grief. But Catherine's quiet acceptance of the role has helped reframe it. Instead of being seen as a crown weighed down by history, it's becoming associated with a new chapter, one built on kindness, dedication, and meaningful public engagement. Interestingly, even within the royal household, the name carries deep symbolism. During public planning and scheduling, the title had reportedly been handled with care. Documents referred to Diana's legacy long after her passing, and references to Camilla as Queen or Princess of Wales were often softened or omitted. It was clear that the name held more than ceremonial value. It carried public memory, personal emotion, and cultural meaning. In that context, Catherine's role becomes even more significant. She's not just managing a royal duty. She's holding something that means a great deal to people across the UK and beyond. And she's doing it by staying grounded, focusing on service, and building her own approach. The way she carries the title is consistent with the rest of her public persona: calm, understated, and thoughtful. She rarely speaks about Diana directly, but the parallels are there. Her public engagements often mirror Diana's in tone, if not in exact detail. Whether it's comforting a grieving family, kneeling to speak with a child, or making mental health a national priority, Catherine's work resonates with the values that Diana once stood for. But it's also important to recognize how different the world is now. Diana operated in a media environment where tabloids were dominant and royal privacy was easily invaded. Catherine's world includes 24/7 social media, relentless online commentary, and a faster, more critical news cycle. In many ways, the pressures are greater, and yet she has maintained her composure and focus. Taking on the title of Princess of Wales wasn't just a change of name. It marked a new phase in Catherine's public life. It came with expectations, some spoken, some unspoken, and she has managed them with consistency and maturity. There are no public missteps, no unnecessary headlines, and no sign that the responsibility has weighed her down. The public's response reflects that. In recent surveys, a growing number of people now associate the title of Princess of Wales with Catherine herself, not just with Diana. That shift hasn't erased the past, but it shows that the present is starting to leave its own mark. Catherine hasn't replaced Diana's memory. She has added something new to the legacy. As the royal family continues to transition, the title Princess of Wales may once again become one of the most important roles in the monarchy, not just because of who held it before, but because of what it represents now. Responsibility, empathy, service, a connection between tradition and modern leadership. Catherine and William met as undergraduates at the University of St. Andrews, where they both studied art history before William later switched to geography. At first, their relationship was a friendship. They shared lectures, meals, and a close-knit social circle. But as time passed, their connection deepened. There are reports that a particular fashion show Catherine participated in during a student fundraiser caught William's attention, marking a turning point in how he saw her. Soon, they were spending more time together, and a relationship quietly began. Despite the growing interest from the British press, the university offered them a rare period of privacy. Catherine was able to live, study, and build a routine outside of public scrutiny. She shared a flat with William and a few close friends. They cooked meals, attended classes, and went to the occasional party, experiencing a relatively normal student life before the world began paying closer attention. After graduating in 2005, Catherine returned to her family in Berkshire and worked briefly in her family's business and later in fashion. During this time, she and William's relationship remained strong, though not without its challenges. In 2007, the couple briefly separated. The media was quick to pick up the story, and many commentators speculated on whether their relationship would survive. But what stood out during that period was Catherine's reaction. She didn't speak to the press, didn't complain, and didn't seek public sympathy. Instead, she carried on with her life, attending events, going to work, and maintaining her usual low profile. When they reunited later that year, it was clear that the relationship had matured. William reportedly admired her resilience and independence. Catherine's ability to remain composed under public scrutiny had not gone unnoticed, and it would become one of her greatest strengths in the years to come. Their engagement was announced in November 2010 following a trip to Kenya. William proposed with the engagement ring that had once belonged to his mother, Princess Diana, a deep blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. The gesture was highly symbolic and emotional, and for many, it signaled a bridge between past and future. Catherine's acceptance of the ring and everything it represented was seen as a quiet but powerful moment. Their wedding in April 2011 was watched by millions across the globe. Held at Westminster Abbey, it was a grand event steeped in tradition, yet the couple managed to bring a sense of intimacy and calm to the proceedings. Catherine arrived in a gown designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, which received widespread praise for blending elegance with restraint. As she stepped out onto the global stage, it was clear she was no longer just William's partner. She was becoming a figure of interest and admiration in her own right. After the wedding, Catherine was given the title Duchess of Cambridge, and her formal royal duties began. In the early years, her schedule was relatively light. This was a conscious decision made by the palace designed to give her time to adjust and to focus on starting a family. She used those years to learn, to observe, and to begin developing a sense of what she wanted her royal role to be. Her first official public speech came in 2012 at a children's hospice in East Anglia. She was visibly nervous, but her sincerity stood out. She kept it brief and straightforward, focusing on the families and children around her rather than the cameras. That approach has continued throughout her public career, less about performance, more about presence. Catherine gradually took on more solo engagements and international tours. In Canada, Australia, and the United States, she received a warm welcome. Her style choices often earned attention, but it was her demeanor, approachable, respectful, and engaged, that left a lasting impression. During these visits, she was seen interacting with children, speaking with parents, and meeting with educators and health professionals. It became clear that her focus on families and childhood development wasn't superficial. It was personal and growing more serious. As a mother to Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, Catherine has often spoken about the joys and challenges of parenting. She's used her personal experience to connect with others, particularly new mothers. In doing so, she has helped reduce some of the pressure and stigma that often surrounds parenthood. She's spoken openly about the lack of confidence many parents feel and the importance of emotional support in the early years. This personal insight has fueled much of her professional work. Over the years, she has become a strong advocate for early childhood development and mental health, helping to found initiatives like Heads Together and later, the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood. Her campaigns have centered on improving awareness around the impact of early experiences on lifelong well-being, calling for better understanding, research, and support for families. But her work hasn't been limited to the UK. Catherine's presence on the global stage has become increasingly important. In countries like India, Pakistan, and Norway, she has been part of diplomatic visits that required both sensitivity and cultural awareness. Her choice of wardrobe during these trips often reflected respect for local customs, but more importantly, her engagement with communities and leaders was thoughtful and informed. The 2019 tour of Pakistan was one of the clearest examples of this shift. She and William visited several sites associated with Princess Diana, including the Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital in Lahore. Catherine's presence at these events drew comparisons to Diana, but it was clear she was not imitating. Instead, she was offering a quiet tribute, acknowledging history, while also making her own mark. More recently, Catherine has started to represent the monarchy at major events with increasing independence. From hosting international dignitaries at state banquets to delivering keynote speeches at national conferences, she has proven capable of handling high-pressure roles with composure and clarity. In many ways, Catherine's evolution mirrors a modern leadership path. She didn't step into the spotlight unprepared. She spent years learning, listening, and quietly building trust. Her rise has been steady, not sudden. She didn't try to reinvent herself to fit royal expectations. She slowly helped those expectations evolve around her. That journey, from a university student unsure of her future to a confident public figure shaping national conversations, has made Catherine one of the most respected members of the royal family today. Her popularity is not based on glamour or celebrity, but on how she carries out her duties, stays consistent in her values, and brings a human touch to one of the oldest institutions in the world. Unlike many public figures, Catherine has never chased headlines. She has focused instead on building something long-term, an approach that is more about systems than slogans, more about impact than attention. Nowhere is this clearer than in her work on early childhood development. The issue of early childhood has become central to Catherine's mission. For more than a decade, she has gradually deepened her involvement in this field, moving beyond charity patronage into real advocacy and policy engagement. Her work has spanned areas such as maternal mental health, child psychology, and family support, all based on a core belief that the earliest years of life fundamentally shape a person's future. This belief isn't just personal, it's backed by research. Catherine has spent years working with scientists, educators, healthcare professionals, and nonprofit leaders to better understand how early experiences influence emotional development, mental health, and social well-being later in life. She has attended private briefings, led expert roundtables, and consulted with organizations specializing in child welfare, showing a commitment that goes well beyond the ceremonial. In 2021, this work became more structured with the launch of the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood. Based at Kensington Palace and supported by a team of professionals, the center aims to drive awareness, conduct research, and encourage collaboration across sectors. It was one of the clearest signs yet that Catherine's role within the royal family was not just symbolic. She was working toward lasting social change. The center's first report, Big Change Starts Small, laid out a compelling case for why investing in the early years matters, not only for individual children but for society as a whole. Catherine publicly introduced the research, explaining how experiences from pregnancy to age 5 have a powerful impact on lifelong outcomes, from physical health to mental resilience. Her remarks were calm and clear, delivered not from a political position but from one of shared concern and collective responsibility. What stands out is how she has chosen to approach this work, not as a campaign with a short-term goal, but as a long-term mission. In a time when public attention is often short-lived, Catherine has committed to something that may take years, even decades, to fully show results. She has made it clear that this isn't just a royal project, it's a personal calling. That kind of focus is rare, especially within the framework of royal life, where schedules are often filled with brief engagements and ceremonial appearances. Catherine has chosen to do fewer things, but to do them well. This deliberate, strategic approach has allowed her to build credibility in the areas she cares most about. It has also helped her earn the respect of professionals who see her as more than a royal figure. They see her as an advocate who is genuinely engaged. Her commitment to children's well-being has also expanded internationally. During official royal tours, Catherine has visited schools, family support centers, and children's hospitals across the Commonwealth and beyond. In each case, her interest in child development and family welfare has been consistent, often leading to follow-up work or support for local organizations. At home in the UK, she continues to support frontline workers and parents, especially those in under-resourced areas. She has met with midwives, health visitors, social workers, and community leaders, listening to their concerns and trying to understand where gaps exist. These conversations often inform the initiatives she later launches, showing that her public engagements are closely tied to the work being done behind the scenes. The public has responded positively. Surveys show growing trust in Catherine, particularly among younger people who appreciate her sincerity and the clarity of her focus. While she avoids political debates, she speaks openly about the importance of early support for families and the shared responsibility society has in raising the next generation. That message, nonpartisan but powerful, has helped her connect with a broad range of audiences. This focus on early years isn't just about children. It also reflects a broader approach to leadership. Catherine's style is grounded, quiet, and consistent. She isn't interested in flashy statements. She rarely uses personal social media and avoids unnecessary interviews. Instead, she relies on substance. She lets the quality of her work speak for itself. And over time, that approach has created something rare: influence without force, attention without spectacle. Her influence now reaches across the royal family as well. As King Charles delegates more responsibilities to the younger generation, Catherine's work ethic and direction provide a model for what the future of royal service could look like: measured, collaborative, and connected to the real needs of modern Britain. She and Prince William have reportedly taken a more hands-on role in managing their royal household, shaping not just their own agenda but helping guide the monarchy's overall strategy. That includes helping to modernize the way the family engages with the public. Catherine has embraced educational videos, interactive campaigns, and documentary-style content to help raise awareness about childhood development and mental health. These tools allow her to reach beyond traditional audiences and speak directly to families and professionals on their terms. It's a subtle but important update to how royals connect with the world. Her role also suggests something else: that the monarchy, once defined almost entirely by tradition and formality, is slowly evolving into something more human and responsive. Catherine has become a symbol of that change, not by abandoning tradition but by blending it with real-world relevance. That blend will be crucial in the years to come. As public attitudes shift, younger generations will expect more from their public figures, not just visibility, but value. Catherine's focus on long-term issues like childhood development and emotional well-being positions her, and the royal family by extension, to meet those expectations. It gives the monarchy a purpose beyond ceremony, something rooted in everyday life. The future Catherine is quietly building goes beyond her own position. It's about redefining what it means to serve as a royal in the 21st century. It's about showing that royalty doesn't have to mean distance. It can mean dedication. And perhaps most importantly, it's about using influence to support causes that will outlast any title. She may one day become queen. But in many ways, she's already doing the work of one, not just upholding an institution, but helping to shape what that institution stands for. Through her calm leadership, her sustained advocacy, and her long-term vision, Catherine is crafting a future that feels more grounded, more focused, and more connected to the lives of ordinary people. And she's doing it one conversation, one project, one step at a time.